The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, broadcast across every communication channel in human space. The alien voices spoke in perfect English, their words cold and formal. Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair aboard the UES Liberty, listening to the transmission for the third time. "People of Earth," the voice began. "This is Supreme Chancellor Korthmax of the Galactic Council. Your species has expanded beyond your home system without permission. You have built colonies on worlds that belong to the galaxy's rightful rulers. This ends now." Jake rubbed his tired eyes. He had been expecting this message for months. Intelligence. Reports had shown alien fleets gathering at the edge of human space, ships from 12 different species, all armed and ready for war. "You have 30 days to withdraw all human presence from systems beyond Sol," the message continued. "Any refusal will result in the complete destruction of your colonies and military forces. Send your finest ships to the neutral zone at coordinates 847.2 by 334.9. There, you may attempt to negotiate for your survival." The transmission ended with a list of demands. Humans would become a servant species, limited to their home system. Earth would pay tribute to the Galactic Council. Human technology would be handed over to alien scientists. Jake turned to his communications officer, Ryan Burke. "How many ships are they bringing?" Ryan checked his screens. "Latest count shows over 8,000 vessels, Captain. Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, fighter carriers. They've got enough firepower to turn a planet into dust." "And how many ships is Earth sending?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "Just us, sir. The Liberty and her crew of 50. Lisa Park, the ship's chief engineer, looked up from her console. "The aliens must think we're crazy. One ship against 8,000? They probably think it's a joke." Jake stood and walked to the main view screen. Outside, stars stretched into lines as the Liberty traveled through hyperspace. In 3 weeks, they would reach the neutral zone. In 3 weeks, humanity would give its answer to the galaxy. "Maybe they should think it's a joke," Jake said quietly. The Liberty was not an impressive ship by galactic standards. She was small, with basic weapons and standard shields. Her hull was plain gray metal without the decorative markings that alien ships carried. To any observer, she looked like a simple transport vessel. But Jake knew better. The Liberty carried something far more dangerous than weapons. Dr. Amy Clark entered the bridge carrying a small datapad. She was a quiet woman with sharp eyes and gray hair. For the past 20 years, she had worked for Earth's intelligence service. Her job was to study alien species, to learn their strengths and weaknesses. "Captain," she said, "I've finished the final preparations. Everything is ready." Jake nodded. "How long have we been planning this, Doctor?" 87 years, Amy replied. "Ever since first contact with the Hegemony Coalition. We knew this day would come." The first alien contact had not gone well. The Hegemony had demanded that humans submit to their rule immediately. When Earth refused, the aliens had destroyed a human research station as a warning. 23 people died that day. But instead of building bigger guns or stronger ships, humanity had chosen a different path. They decided to learn everything about their enemies. Human spies and scientists spent decades studying alien technology, culture, and biology. They learned how alien computers worked, how their ships were built, how their societies functioned. "The Council thinks we're weak because we only sent one ship," Lisa said. "They don't understand humans at all." "Good," Jake replied. "Let them think that." Ryan's console beeped with an incoming message. "Captain, we're getting communications from the colonial worlds. They want to know what the plan is." Jake had visited 17 human colonies in the past month. At each stop, he had met with local leaders and scientists. Some had been afraid, others had been angry, but all of them had trusted Earth's leadership. "Tell them to remain calm," Jake said. "Everything is proceeding as planned." The colonies were humanity's greatest achievement. In just 200 years, humans had spread to 47 star systems. They had built cities on desert worlds and underwater habitats on ocean planets. They had learned to live in places that other species thought impossible. But the aliens saw this expansion as a threat. 12 species ruled the galaxy, and they did not want competition. Humans were newcomers, barely 3 centuries into space travel. They should know their place. "Captain," Amy said, "I've been monitoring alien communications. They're very confident. Admiral Zexa Thara of the Hegemony is telling his officers that this will be a quick war. Commander Veltar of the Crimson Fleet is already planning victory celebrations." "What about their computer systems?" Jake asked. Amy smiled for the first time in weeks. "All connected to the Galactic Network. All running the same basic operating protocols. All completely vulnerable. The Galactic Network was the aliens' greatest achievement. It connected every ship, every planet, every device across hundreds of star systems. Information could travel instantly from one side of the galaxy to the other. Trade, communication, and coordination all depended on this network. It was also their greatest weakness. "The virus is ready?" Jake asked. "It's been ready for 30 years, Amy replied. "We've tested it on captured alien equipment. It works perfectly. But, Captain, once we activate it, there's no going back. The galaxy will never be the same." Jake looked around his bridge. Ryan was young, barely 25, but he was the best communications expert in the human fleet. Lisa had been with him for 10 years, through 3 different ships and dozens of dangerous missions. Amy had dedicated her life to this moment. "Are we doing the right thing?" Lisa asked. "We're about to change everything for billions of people." "The aliens made this choice," Jake said. "They could have offered partnership. They could have worked with us. Instead, they chose to threaten genocide." The Liberty continued through hyperspace, carrying humanity's answer to the galaxy's ultimatum. In the cargo bay, 50 volunteers prepared for their mission. They were not soldiers, but scientists, engineers, and diplomats. They carried no weapons except knowledge. "Captain," Ryan said, "we're getting reports from our scouts. The alien fleets are taking positions around the neutral zone. They're forming a battle formation that stretches across 3 star systems. Numbers? Confirmed count of 8,237 ships. Crew estimates at over 4 million beings." Jake nodded. "And we're bringing 50 people on one ship." "The odds are not good, Captain," Amy said with a slight smile. "Doctor," Jake replied, "the aliens are about to learn that sometimes the odds don't matter. Sometimes one person with the right knowledge can change everything. And we don't have 1 person. We have 50. The Liberty dropped out of hyperspace near a refueling station. This would be their last stop before the neutral zone." As they docked, Jake watched other ships passing by. Merchant vessels, passenger transports, alien ships going about their daily business. None of them knew that in 2 weeks, everything would change. "Final preparations, everyone," Jake announced to his crew. "We're about to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of." Admiral Zexa Thara stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with growing confusion. The human ship had been traveling for 2 weeks, making stops at various colonies along the way. His intelligence officers had monitored every movement, every communication, every supply transfer. "What did they pick up at the last colony?" he asked his aide. "Standard supplies, Admiral. Food, water, basic materials, and one passenger." "A passenger?" "Dr. Amy Clark, according to our records. She appears to be a civilian scientist." Zexathara's 4 eyes narrowed. He had commanded fleets for over 60 years, fought in 17 wars, and conquered 43 worlds. He understood military strategy better than almost any being in the galaxy, but this human behavior made no sense. They're bringing a scientist to a military confrontation? "Yes, Admiral. She boarded with only a small data pad and 1 bag of personal items." On another ship, Commander Veltar was having similar thoughts. His crimson-painted fleet hung in space like a cloud of angry metal. His species, the Kareth, were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. They had never lost a battle. "The humans must have a plan," he told his officers. "No species is stupid enough to send 1 ship against 8,000. They must be hiding something." His intelligence chief, a scarred veteran named Talvez, studied the reports. "Our scans show no unusual weapons on their vessel, no exotic energy signatures. The ship appears to be a standard transport with basic defenses." "Then they must have allies coming," Veltar decided. "Hidden fleets preparing to attack." But deep space monitors showed no sign of additional human ships. The colonies were quiet, their small defense forces staying close to home. Earth itself showed no signs of launching a massive fleet. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax was equally puzzled. From his command ship at the center of the Allied fleet, he could see the tactical situation clearly. 12 species had brought their finest vessels. The combined firepower could destroy entire solar systems. Against this, the humans were sending 1 small ship. "Perhaps they plan to surrender immediately," suggested his advisor, a tall being from the Nexus Collective. "This could be a diplomatic vessel carrying their formal submission." "Then why visit the colonies first?" Korthmax replied. "Why take 2 weeks to reach us? A surrender could be transmitted instantly." The Chancellor was old, even by his species' standards. He had lived through the formation of the Galactic Council, had seen dozens of species rise and fall. He understood that sometimes the most dangerous enemy was the one you didn't understand. Meanwhile, on the UES Liberty, the crew continued their journey as if they were on a routine mission. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the ship, checking on his people. The 50 crew members were busy with their preparations, but none of them seemed nervous. In the engineering section, Lisa Park was calibrating the ship's communication array. The modifications were subtle, invisible to outside observers, but they would be crucial for what was coming. "How are we looking, Lisa?" Jake asked. "All systems are ready, Captain. The communication modifications are complete. We can reach any point in the galaxy instantly when the time comes." In the science lab, Dr. Amy Clark was reviewing her data one final time. Her small data pad contained information that had taken 87 years to gather. Every alien species, every ship design, every computer system. All of it carefully, studied and cataloged. "Dr. Clark," Jake said as he entered the lab, "are you confident this will work?" Amy looked up from her data pad. "Captain, I've spent my entire career studying alien technology. Every species in the galaxy uses the same basic computer protocols. They've standardized everything to make the galactic network function smoothly. And that's their weakness. That's their greatest weakness. When everything is connected and everything uses the same systems, one virus can affect everything." Ryan Burke joined them, carrying his own equipment. "The communication backdoors are confirmed, Captain. Human intelligence has been placing them in alien systems for decades. They never noticed because we made them look like standard updates. Jake nodded. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. For nearly a century, human computer experts had been infiltrating alien networks, not to steal information or cause damage, but to place tiny pieces of code in key systems. Code that would activate only when commanded. "Sir," Ryan continued, "I'm getting reports from our monitoring stations. The alien fleets are growing larger. 3 more species have sent additional ships." "How many now?" Jake asked. "Over 9,000 vessels. And Captain, they're not just bringing warships. They've got colony ships, transport vessels, construction equipment. They're planning to occupy human space permanently." The aliens weren't just planning to defeat humanity. They intended to erase human civilization completely and replace it with their own colonies. Every human world would become an alien world. Lisa joined them in the lab. "Captain, I've been monitoring alien communications. They're placing bets on how long it will take to destroy us." "Bets?" "Admiral Zexathara thinks it will take less than 1 hour. Commander Veltar has wagered it will be over in 30 minutes. Some of the younger officers are betting on whether we'll surrender before they open fire." Amy smiled coldly. "They see us as entertainment?" Jake walked to the small window in the lab. Outside, stars rushed past as the Liberty continued toward the neutral zone. In a few days, those same stars would witness something that had never happened before in galactic history. "Dr. Clark," he said, "tell me about the galactic network." "One more time." Amy activated a display showing the galaxy's communication infrastructure. Lines of light connected thousands of worlds, creating a web that spanned the entire galaxy. Every alien ship, every planetary government, every major installation is connected to this network, she explained. Information travels through subspace, relays at faster-than-light speeds. It's how they coordinate their fleets, manage their economies, control their territories. And our virus will propagate through the entire network in less than 60 seconds once activated. It won't destroy anything, but it will give us control of everything. Ryan added, "The beautiful part is that they can't simply disconnect from the network. Their ships would lose navigation, communication, even basic life support. Modern alien vessels can't function without constant network connectivity." Jake studied the display. "So we're not really fighting 9,000 ships. We're fighting one very large computer network that happens to control 9,000 ships." "Exactly," Amy said. On the alien command ships, the confusion was growing. Intelligence reports showed that the human ship was still alone, still following a direct course to the neutral zone. But military analysts couldn't believe that any species would be so foolish. "Perhaps it's a cultural thing," suggested one of Korthmax's advisors. "Some species prefer to die with honor rather than live in shame. Or maybe they're carrying a weapon we don't understand," said another. "Something small but incredibly powerful." Zexathara was studying human history. His database contained information about human wars going back centuries. "These beings have always been unpredictable," he told his officers. "They've won battles they should have lost, survived situations that should have killed them." "But Admiral," his aide replied, "they've never faced anything like this. 9,000 ships from 12 species. The combined military might have half the galaxy?" "No," Zexathara agreed. "They haven't." But something about the situation bothered him. In all his years of warfare, enemies usually acted predictably. They gathered their forces, made alliances, prepared for battle. They didn't send lone ships on suicide missions, unless it wasn't a suicide mission. On the Liberty, Jake gathered his senior officers for a final briefing. "In 72 hours, we'll reach the neutral zone. Are we ready?" "The virus is loaded," "And ready for transmission," Amy confirmed. "Communication systems are fully operational," Ryan added. "All ship modifications are complete," Lisa reported. Jake looked at his small team, 50 people against 9,000 ships. By any logical measure, they were about to attempt the impossible. "Once we activate the virus, there's no going back," he said. "The galaxy will change forever. Every alien species will know what we're capable of." "Captain," Amy said quietly, "they gave us a choice. Submit or be destroyed. We're simply offering them the same choice." The Liberty continued toward its destination, carrying humanity's answer to the galaxy's ultimatum. Behind them, human colonies went about their daily lives, trusting that their leaders had a plan. Ahead of them, the largest military force in galactic history waited for their arrival. None of the aliens could imagine what was about to happen. They thought they understood humans, thought they knew what to expect. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The neutral zone was a sight that few beings had ever witnessed. 9,000 warships from 12 different species hung in the darkness of space like a metal constellation. The massive vessels formed layers of defense stretching across 3 star systems. Dreadnoughts the size of cities floated next to sleek cruisers and swarms of fighter craft. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty as they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the formation. The view screen showed an endless array of alien ships, their weapons trained on his small vessel. "Captain," Ryan Burke reported from his communication station, "we're being scanned by over 300 different sensor arrays. And, sir, we're receiving a lot of messages." "What kind of messages?" "Mostly demands that we surrender immediately. A few threats. Admiral Zex Thara is requesting permission to destroy us as a demonstration of alien superiority." Jake studied the tactical display. The Liberty looked like a tiny dot surrounded by an ocean of hostile contacts. "Any word from Supreme Chancellor Korthmax?" "Yes, sir. He's demanding to know why we're wasting his time. He says if we're here to surrender, we should do it quickly." Lisa Park looked up from her engineering console. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout the alien fleet. They're charging their weapons." "All of them?" "Yes, sir. It looks like they want to be ready to fire the moment you say the wrong thing." Dr. Amy Clark entered the bridge, carrying her data pad. She looked calm, almost relaxed. "Captain, I'm reading the alien communications. They're placing final bets on how we'll die." "Still think this is entertainment?" "Commander Veltar has opened fire on asteroids to demonstrate his weapon's power. 3 different admirals are arguing over who gets to destroy us first." Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Through the view screen, he could see the massive alien command ship where Supreme Chancellor Korthmax waited. The vessel was larger than most human cities, bristling with weapons and covered in the decorative armor that marked it as belonging to galactic royalty. "Ryan, open a channel to the Chancellor." "Channel open, Captain." "Supreme Chancellor Korthmax, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Liberty. We request permission to approach your command ship and address the Galactic Council." The response came quickly, broadcast on all frequencies so every ship in the fleet could hear. "Captain Morrison, your presence here is an insult to the dignity of the Galactic Council. 1 ship? 50 crew members? Do you think we are fools?" "No, Chancellor. We think you are intelligent beings who deserve to hear humanity's response to your ultimatum. Your response should be simple submission. Instead, you waste our time with this pathetic display." Jake could hear laughter in the background of the transmission. Alien officers were finding humor in humanity's apparent desperation. "Nevertheless," Jake continued, We formally request the right to address the Council before you take any military action. There was a long pause. When Korthmax spoke again, his voice carried a mixture of amusement and irritation. Very well. You have earned the right to speak through your courage, if not your wisdom. Approach to within 1 kilometer of my command ship. But be warned, Captain Morrison. The moment your words displease us, your ship will be destroyed. Understood, Chancellor. The Liberty began moving slowly through the alien fleet. As they passed between the massive warships, Jake could see weapon turrets tracking their movement. Thousands of guns, missile launchers, and energy cannons followed their progress. Captain, Lisa reported, I'm detecting over 40 different targeting systems locked onto our ship. One wrong move and we'll be vaporized. Any regrets? Jake asked his crew. None, sir, Ryan replied. This is what we trained for. Amy smiled. Captain, in about 10 minutes, these aliens are going to learn something new about humans. As they approached the command ship, more alien vessels moved into position. The Liberty was now surrounded by a sphere of hostile warships. Escape was impossible. Sir, Ryan said, I'm receiving a priority message from Admiral Zex Thara. Put it through. The alien's voice filled the bridge. Human Captain, I am Admiral Zex Thara of the Hegemony Coalition. Your ship is insignificant. Your weapons are useless. Your shields could not stop a single shot from my smallest gun. Why do you come here to die? Admiral, Jake replied calmly, we come here to live, and to ensure that others can live as well. Impossible. You are outnumbered 9,000 to 1. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral. There was a sound that might have been alien laughter. Captain Morrison, I have conquered 43 worlds. I have destroyed fleets 10 times larger than your entire navy. What could you possibly do against the combined might of 12 species? Before Jake could answer, another voice cut into the transmission. Commander Veltar of the Crimson Fleet sounded angry and impatient. Enough talk. Chancellor, let me destroy this human ship and end this farce. My weapons are charged and ready. Commander Veltar, Korthmax replied. Control yourself. We will follow proper protocols. Protocols? For what? This is not a negotiation between equals. This is an extermination. Jake watched as several alien ships moved closer, their weapons glowing with barely contained energy. The aliens were growing impatient with what they saw as a meaningless delay. Captain, Amy said quietly, the alien fleet commanders are starting to argue among themselves. Some want to destroy us immediately. Others think we should be captured for study. Any supporters? None. They all agree that humanity should be eliminated. They're just debating the method. The Liberty finally reached its designated position, floating 1 kilometer from the massive command ship. Through the view screen, Jake could see observation decks filled with alien officers watching the small human vessel. Captain Morrison, Korthmax's voice boomed across all frequencies. You now have the attention of the Galactic Council. Representatives of 12 species are listening. You have 5 minutes to deliver humanity's response to our ultimatum. Choose your words carefully. They will be your last. Jake looked around his bridge one final time. His crew was ready, their hands steady on their consoles. Dr. Clark held her datapad, waiting for the signal. Ryan's fingers hovered over the communication controls. Lisa monitored the ship's systems, prepared for what was coming. Dr. Clark, Jake said. You're on. Amy stepped forward, her voice calm and professional as she activated the ship's external communication system. Members of the Galactic Council, I am Dr. Amy Clark, representing the government of Earth and all human colonies. I thank you for this opportunity to address your concerns about human expansion in the galaxy. Concerns? Veltar's voice cut in. We have no concerns. We have demands. Submit or die. Commander, Amy continued, humanity has carefully considered your ultimatum. We have studied your military capabilities, your technological achievements, and your political structures. We have reached a decision. And what is that decision? Korthmax asked. Amy smiled, though the aliens couldn't see her expression. Our decision is that you have misunderstood the situation entirely. Explain. You believe that military strength is measured by the number of ships in your fleet. You believe that technological superiority comes from building bigger weapons. You believe that intelligence means following the same strategies that worked in the past. There was silence from the alien fleet. Jake could imagine thousands of alien officers wondering where this was leading. You are wrong on all counts, Amy said. Humanity offers you a different perspective. Sometimes the strongest position comes from understanding your enemy better than they understand themselves. Enough riddles, Admiral Zexathara interrupted. State your response clearly. Amy looked at Jake, who nodded. She activated her datapad and began uploading information to the ship's communication system. Our response is simple, she said. Humanity does not surrender. Instead, we offer you a choice. You can accept us as equals and work with us to build a better galaxy. Or you can learn what happens when you threaten a species that has spent 87 years preparing for this conversation. Threats? Veltar sounded incredulous. You're threatening us? Not threats, Commander. Options. Jake stepped forward. Chancellor Korthmax, we know that your fleets are powerful. We know that your weapons can destroy planets. But we also know something you apparently don't. And what is that? We know how to win without firing a shot. The Bridge of the Liberty fell silent. Outside, 9,000 alien warships waited for humanity's surrender. Instead, they were about to witness something that would change the galaxy forever. Dr. Amy Clark stepped to the center of the Liberty's bridge, her datapad glowing with information that had taken nearly a century to compile. Around them, 9,000 alien warships waited with weapons charged and ready to fire. Members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carried across every communication channel in the alien fleet. Allow me to share what humanity has learned during our short time in the galaxy. She activated her datapad, and information began flowing to the Liberty's communication system. Jake watched as displays around the bridge showed detailed analyses of alien technology, biology, and social structures. We learned about the hegemony. Coalition first, Amy continued. Your species, Admiral Zexathara, requires a specific atmospheric pressure to maintain cognitive function. When that pressure drops below 0.7 standard units, your decision-making ability becomes severely impaired. On the command ship of the Hegemony Fleet, Admiral Zexathara's 4 eyes widened in surprise. That information was classified at the highest levels of military security. We learned about the Kareth warrior culture, Commander Veltar. Your red ships are beautiful, but they have a critical weakness. The paint you use contains metals that interfere with your sensor arrays when exposed to specific electromagnetic frequencies. Veltar's bridge officers looked at each other in alarm. No outsider should know such details about their ship design. Amy activated another section of her datapad. The Nexus Collective builds excellent computers, but they all share the same security protocols. The Teth Empire has impressive shields, but they drain power from life support when operating at maximum efficiency. She continued listing details about each species represented in the alien fleet. Military weaknesses, technological flaws, biological vulnerabilities. Information that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. How? Supreme Chancellor Korthmax's voice carried a note of genuine concern. How could you learn these things? Because we've been studying you for 87 years, Amy replied. Every time one of your ships visited a human world, we learned something new. Every trade agreement, every diplomatic meeting, every piece of technology we purchased from. Your species taught us more about how you think and how you build. Jake stepped forward. We didn't spend the last century building bigger weapons or faster ships. We spent it understanding our neighbors. Lisa Park activated her engineering console. While your species focused on military expansion, we focused on knowledge. We learned how your computers work, how your ships function, how your societies are organized. Ryan Burke added from his communication station, we learned about the galactic network that connects all of your worlds. We studied how information flows between your fleets, your governments, your military installations. Amy smiled as she accessed another file on her datapad. Most importantly, we learned that every single ship in your fleet, every planet in your territories, every critical system in your civilization depends on one thing, the Galactic Communication and Control Network. Impossible, Admiral Zexathera protested. Our networks are secured against infiltration. No outside species could penetrate our systems. Admiral, Amy replied, you're thinking like a military. Commander, you're thinking about direct attacks, about breaking down security barriers through force. She activated a new display showing the structure of the galactic network. We didn't break into your systems. We helped build them. The Bridge of the Liberty fell silent except for the hum of electronics. Even Jake, who knew the plan, felt a chill at Amy's words. For the past 30 years, human computer experts have worked with alien companies throughout the galaxy. We've provided software updates, system improvements, and security patches for your networks. Ryan's fingers moved across his console. Every update we provided made your systems more efficient, more reliable, more secure. They also included small pieces of code that you never noticed. Code? Korthmax asked. Dormant programs, Amy explained. They don't do anything unless activated. They simply wait, hidden in the background processes of your computers. Waiting for the right signal. Lisa checked her engineering displays. The beautiful part is that the code doesn't look like a weapon. It looks like standard maintenance routines, error-checking protocols, system optimization functions. Amy accessed the final section of her datapad. We estimate that 96% of all ships, stations, and planetary installations in the galaxy now carry our code. It's been spreading through your networks for decades, copying itself every time systems communicate with each other. Commander Veltar's voice carried a note of anger mixed with fear. You're claiming to have infected our entire civilization with some kind of virus? Not a virus, Jake corrected. Think of it as a key that can unlock any door in your technological infrastructure. And what doors might those be? Korthmax asked, though Jake suspected the Chancellor was beginning to understand. Amy activated her datapad one more time. Life support systems, artificial gravity, weapons targeting, engine controls, navigation computers, communication arrays, everything that keeps your ships operational and your crews alive. The alien fleet channels erupted in angry voices as commanders demanded explanations from their technical officers. But Amy wasn't finished. The code has been dormant all this time because we never wanted to use it. We hoped for peaceful coexistence. We hoped that when we met the galactic community, we could work together as equals. But you chose a different path, Jake added. You chose to threaten genocide against our entire species. Ryan turned to face the main view screen. So now you have a choice to make. You can accept humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization, or you can learn what happens when we activate the code. Admiral Zexathara's voice carried desperate authority. You're bluffing. Even if such a program existed, our technical teams would have found it. Would they? Amy asked. Let me give you an example. Admiral, what operating system do your ship's computers use? Galactic Standard OS, version 12.7. Developed by? There was a pause. The Nexus Collective, with improvements by the Teth Empire and efficiency updates provided by Human Systems Integration. Amy smiled. Human Systems Integration, a company we created 32 years ago. We've been improving your computer systems for over 3 decades, making them faster, more reliable, more secure. That's impossible. Check your records, Admiral. Look at the improvement history of your ship's operating system. You'll find that 43% of the code was written or modified by human programmers. Lisa added, We didn't hide our involvement. We just used names that didn't sound threatening. Human Systems Integration, Terran Tech Solutions, Earth Computer Services, all registered companies, all legal, all focused on making alien technology better. The communication channels of the alien fleet buzzed with frantic activity as technical. Officers began checking their systems. What they found would terrify them. Jake walked to the main view screen, looking out at the massive alien fleet that surrounded his tiny ship. Chancellor Korthmax, we want to demonstrate something. With your permission, we'll activate our code on one ship just for a few seconds to show you what we're capable of. Absolutely not. Then perhaps a non-military demonstration? Ryan, activate the code on the civilian traffic control system for Sector 7. Ryan's fingers moved across his console. Instantly, thousands of civilian ships throughout the galaxy found their navigation systems displaying the same message. Humanity does not surrender. The message appeared on cargo vessels, passenger transports, private yachts, and commercial freighters across dozens of star systems. It stayed visible for exactly 10 seconds, then disappeared, leaving the ship's systems functioning normally. That was just the civilian network, Amy explained. The military network has much more interesting possibilities. Commander Veltar's voice cracked with strain. You're claiming that you can control our weapons, our engines, our life support? We're not claiming anything, Commander. We're offering you a choice. Work with us, or discover just how thoroughly we understand your technology. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of someone who had just realized that everything had changed. Human Captain, you are saying that you have the ability to disable our entire fleet? Not disable, Chancellor. Control. There's a difference. We don't want to destroy your ships or harm your crews. We want to show you that there are alternatives to warfare. And if we refuse your terms? Jake looked around his bridge one more time. His crew was ready, their hands steady on their consoles. Amy held her datapad, waiting for the final order. This was the moment that would determine the future of the galaxy. Then you'll learn why humanity only needed to send one ship. The silence in space was absolute, broken only by the crackling of communication channels as alien commanders tried to understand what they had just heard. 9,000 warships hung motionless around the tiny human vessel, their crews suddenly uncertain about everything they thought they knew. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax's voice carried across all frequencies, attempting to maintain control of the situation. Captain Morrison, your claims are impossible. No single species could infiltrate the technology of 12 different civilizations. Chancellor, Jake replied calmly. Would you like us to prove it? I would like you to surrender immediately before this situation escalates beyond repair. Admiral Zexathara's voice cut in, sharp with anger. Enough of this nonsense. Even if humans have placed some kind of malicious code in our systems, our security protocols will prevent activation. Our firewalls are impenetrable. Dr. Amy Clark looked up from her datapad. Admiral, your firewalls are excellent. They stop external intrusions very effectively. But they don't stop code that's already inside your systems. Code that looks like legitimate software. Commander Veltar sounded skeptical. Human, you speak of controlling our ships. But control requires understanding. You would need to know the command protocols for hundreds of different ship classes, thousands of different systems. Commander, Ryan Burke replied from his communications station, we've been learning those protocols for 30 years. Every software update we provided came with detailed documentation. We know your systems better than you do. Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, 9,000 alien ships waited with weapons ready. But for the first time since arriving at the neutral zone, he felt completely confident. Chancellor Korthmax, you have demanded proof. We will provide it. But understand that once we begin this demonstration, there will be no going back. The galaxy will never be the same. You dare threaten the combined might of 12 species? We're not threatening anyone, Chancellor. We're offering you a choice. Accept us as equals, or learn what happens when you force us to defend ourselves. Lisa Park looked up from her engineering console. Captain, all systems are ready. The activation codes are loaded and standing by. Ryan, communication links are established with every ship in the alien fleet. The virus can propagate to all targets simultaneously. Dr. Clark, Amy held up her datapad. 87 years of preparation have led to this moment, Captain. We're ready. Jake took a deep breath. Do it. Ryan's fingers moved across his console with practiced precision. The activation signal went out instantly, traveling through the galactic communication network at faster-than-light speeds. In less than 60 seconds, it would reach every corner of the galaxy. The effect was immediate and terrifying. On Admiral Zexathara's flagship, the bridge lights flickered and changed color. Warning alarms began sounding as computer displays showed error messages. But these weren't system failures. They were signs of new control. Admiral, his aide reported, his voice filled with panic. Our weapons targeting systems are offline. Navigation is responding to external commands. Artificial. Gravity is fluctuating. Impossible, Zexathara growled, but his 4 eyes were fixed on the main display screen, which now showed a simple message. Humanity does not surrender. On the Crimson Fleet command ship, Commander Veltar watched in horror as his beautiful red vessels began moving without orders. His flagship's engines fired, pushing the massive ship slowly to starboard. Around him, other Kareth vessels were performing similar involuntary maneuvers. Engineering, he shouted. Explain what's happening. Sir, our computer core is responding to external commands. We're reading control codes that we've never seen before, but the computer accepts them as legitimate. Override them. We can't, sir. The computer believes these commands have higher priority than ours. Throughout the alien fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Ship after ship found their systems responding to invisible commands. Weapons powered down despite orders to maintain readiness. Engines fired in sequences that spelled out words in ancient human languages. Communication arrays broadcast the same message across all channels. Humanity does not surrender. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax stood on his command bridge, watching displays that showed the chaos spreading through his fleet. "Status report," he demanded. "Chancellor, over 90% of our vessels are experiencing system anomalies. They're not malfunctions, sir. Someone else is controlling our ships. Can we regain control?" "We're trying, sir, but the foreign code has administrative privileges. It's as if our own computers are betraying us." On the Liberty, Jake watched the tactical display as 9,000 alien ships began moving in synchronized patterns. Some formed the outline of Earth's continents. Others spelled out peace in letters large enough to be seen from light years away. "How are we doing, Ryan?" he asked. "Perfect execution, Captain. The virus has infected 96% of all ships in the alien fleet. We have control of weapons, engines, life support, and communication systems. Any resistance? Some ships are trying to disconnect from the galactic network, but that just leaves them dead in space. Modern alien vessels can't function without network connectivity." Amy activated her datapad again. "Captain, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. The virus has reached every major alien installation, military bases, civilian shipyards, planetary defense systems, even traffic control networks. Everything connected to the galactic network is now under our influence." Lisa checked her engineering displays. "And the beautiful part is that we're not damaging anything. Life support is stable, crews are safe, ships are operational. We're just borrowing control for a while." Jake opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "Chancellor Korthmax, Admiral Zexathara, Commander Veltar, can you hear me?" "We hear you," Korthmax replied, his voice strained. "What you're experiencing is a demonstration of human capabilities. We can control your weapons, your engines, your life support systems. We can make your ships dance like puppets or shut them down completely." "This is an act of war," Admiral Zexathara protested. "No, Admiral. An act of war would be using your own weapons to destroy your ships. We're simply showing you that we have the ability to defend ourselves without violence." Amy stepped forward. "Members of the Galactic Council, the virus now active in your systems has several interesting capabilities. Would you like us to demonstrate them?" "Absolutely not," Commander Veltar shouted. "Very well, but allow me to explain what we could do if we chose to. We could shut down artificial gravity on your ships, leaving your crews floating helplessly. We could disable your weapons while leaving you vulnerable to attack. We could turn off your engines, stranding your fleets in empty space," Ryan added. "We could redirect your communications, making it impossible for you to coordinate with each other. We could override your navigation systems, sending your ships anywhere we want them to go. Or," Jake said quietly, "we could simply make all of your technology stop working. Every computer, every device, every system that depends on the galactic network would become useless." The communication channels fell silent. 9,000 ships continued their involuntary dance in space, their crews helpless to stop the demonstration of human power. "But we don't want to do any of those things," Jake continued. "We want to work with you. We want to build a galaxy where all species can thrive together." Amy activated another section of her datapad. "The code we've placed in your systems isn't just a weapon, it's also a bridge. It can facilitate communication between different species, help coordinate scientific research, enable new forms of cooperation." "We're offering you partnership," Lisa added. "Not conquest, not submission, but genuine cooperation between equals." Supreme Chancellor Korthmax was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, His voice carried the weight of defeat and the beginning of understanding. "Captain Morrison, you have made your point. But how do we know you won't use this power? To dominate us?" "Because, Chancellor, if we wanted to dominate you, we would have done it 30 years ago when we first gained access to your systems. Instead, we used our knowledge to improve your technology, to make your lives better. And now? Now we're offering you a choice. The same choice you offered us. Submit to our terms or face the consequences." Jake looked around the bridge of the Liberty. His small crew had just demonstrated control over the most powerful military force in galactic history. But this was only the beginning. "What are your terms?" Korthmax asked quietly. "Simple," Jake replied. "Recognition of humanity as an equal member of the galactic community, an end to threats against human colonies, and a new era of cooperation based on mutual respect rather than military dominance." The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the answer that would determine the future of interstellar civilization. The alien fleet hung in space like broken toys, their massive warships moving in patterns they couldn't control. On thousands of bridges across hundreds of different ship classes, alien commanders stared at displays that no longer obeyed their orders. The most powerful military force in galactic history had become a puppet show directed by 50 humans on a single small vessel. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax stood on his command bridge, watching his tactical displays with growing horror. The virus had spread beyond his fleet, beyond the neutral zone, beyond anything he had imagined possible. "Status report," he demanded of his communications officer. "Chancellor, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. The human virus has reached every major installation connected to the galactic network. Military bases report loss of weapons control. Shipyards cannot operate their construction equipment. Even civilian transportation systems are affected." "How widespread?" "Sir, preliminary reports suggest that every inhabited system in the galaxy is experiencing some level of impact. The humans appear to have gained control of our entire technological infrastructure." Korthmax closed his primary eyes in defeat. In over 200 years of galactic politics, he had never encountered anything like this. Military conquests he understood. Economic warfare he could handle. But this was something entirely new. "Open a channel to the human vessel," he ordered. On the UES Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison received the incoming transmission. Around him, his bridge crew monitored the chaos they had created across the galaxy. "Chancellor," Jake said calmly, "are you ready to discuss terms?" "Captain Morrison, what you have done goes beyond warfare. You have attacked the foundation of galactic civilization itself." "No, Chancellor. We have revealed how fragile that foundation really is. For decades, your species have built a galaxy that depends entirely on interconnected technology. You never considered what would happen if someone gained control of that technology." Dr. Amy Clark stepped forward. "Chancellor, the virus isn't destroying anything. Life support systems are stable. Ships are operational. Crews are safe. We're simply demonstrating that we have the ability to protect ourselves without violence. By controlling our ships like toys. By showing you that military force isn't the only form of power," Jake replied. Admiral Zexathara's voice cut into the conversation, sharp with frustrated anger. "Human Captain, this is an act of terrorism. You have attacked civilian targets across the galaxy." "Admiral?" Ryan Burke replied from his communications station. "We haven't attacked anything. Traffic control systems are still working. Cargo, Ships are still moving. Civilian communications are uninterrupted. We've simply borrowed some administrative privileges. You cannot expect us to negotiate under these conditions, Commander Veltar protested. Return control of our ships immediately. Commander, Lisa Park said, that's not how negotiations work. You came here with 9,000 warships pointed at our single vessel. You demanded our immediate surrender or destruction. Now you're complaining that we've leveled the playing field? Amy activated her data pad, showing readings from across the galaxy. Commander, let me explain what's really happening. The virus we've activated isn't just controlling your ships, it's also gathering information. What kind of information? Military deployments, resource allocations, strategic plans. We now know the location and strength of every alien military installation in the galaxy. We know your supply lines, your communication protocols, your emergency procedures. Jake walked to the main view screen, looking out at the alien fleet that surrounded his ship. We know which species have secret alliances, which governments are planning expansion into neutral territories, which military leaders are plotting against their own governments. The communication channels fell silent as alien commanders realized the implications. The humans didn't just have control of their technology, they had access to their most closely guarded secrets. You see, Amy continued, this was never about a military confrontation. This was about information. Knowledge is power, and we now have complete knowledge of your capabilities, your weaknesses, and your intentions. Supreme Chancellor Korth Max spoke quietly. What do you want from us? We want what we've always wanted, Jake replied. Recognition as equals, an end to threats against human colonies, a seat at the Galactic Council with full voting rights. And in return, we'll remove the virus from your systems and help you develop better security protocols. We'll share our technological improvements with all species. We'll work together to build a stronger, more secure galaxy. Admiral Zexthara sounded skeptical. And if we refuse? Amy smiled, though the aliens couldn't see her expression. Admiral, you're not really in a position to refuse. But let me explain what would happen if you tried. She activated another section of her data pad. The virus in your systems isn't just dormant code waiting for activation. It's a living program that adapts and spreads. Every time your computers communicate with each other, the virus learns more about your systems and becomes harder to remove. Furthermore, Ryan added, the virus has been designed to become more active if threatened. Attempts to remove it will trigger defensive protocols that could shut down entire planetary networks. Lisa checked her engineering displays. And even if you somehow managed to remove the virus from some systems, it would simply reinfect them through the Galactic Communication Network. As long as that network exists, the virus will continue to spread and adapt. Commander Veltar's voice carried desperation. You're saying we can never be free of this contamination? We're saying that the old galaxy is gone, Jake replied. The galaxy where military force determined political power, where stronger species could threaten weaker ones with impunity. That galaxy ended the moment you decided to threaten human extinction. Amy stepped closer to the communication console. But we're also offering you something better. A galaxy where cooperation replaces conquest, where knowledge is shared instead of hoarded, where all species work together for mutual benefit. Under human control, Admiral Zexthara said bitterly. Under no one's control, Jake corrected. The virus will remain in your systems, but dormant. It will only activate if any species threatens the survival of another. Think of it as a galactic peacekeeping system. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax was quiet for several minutes, consulting with advisors across the alien fleet. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of someone making a decision that would affect billions of lives. Captain Morrison, your terms are acceptable in principle, but the details must be negotiated carefully. The political structure of the galaxy cannot be changed overnight. We understand, Chancellor. That's why we're prepared to work with you over the coming months to establish new protocols. And the virus will remain inactive as long as all species abide by the new agreements. Consider it insurance against future conflicts. Commander. Veltar's voice carried anger mixed with resignation. You have made us prisoners in our own ships. No, Commander. We've made you partners in a new galactic order. The choice of how to proceed is yours. Amy activated her data pad one final time. Members of the Galactic Council, we're transmitting detailed proposals for the new governmental structure. You'll find provisions for equal representation, shared, technological development, and mutual defense agreements. Study them carefully, Jake added. When you're ready to proceed, we'll begin the formal negotiations. Lisa monitored her engineering console. Captain, I'm reading increased activity from several alien ships. It looks like some commanders are trying to disconnect from the galactic network. Let them try, Ryan said. They'll quickly discover that modern starships can't function without network connectivity. They'll be dead in space within hours. Sure enough, within minutes, the ships that had attempted to disconnect were requesting permission to reconnect. Their life support systems were failing, their navigation was offline, and their crews were in danger. You see, Amy explained to the alien fleet, the galaxy you built depends on interconnection. We didn't create that dependency, we simply learned to use it. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax sighed deeply. Captain Morrison, it appears we have no choice but to accept your terms. Chancellor, you always have a choice, but some choices have consequences that others don't. Very well. The Galactic Council accepts humanity as an equal member. We will begin negotiations for the new governmental structure immediately. Jake looked around his bridge. 50 humans had just changed the political structure of the entire galaxy without firing a single shot. But he knew this was only the beginning. Chancellor, we look forward to working with you. The Liberty will remain here while we establish preliminary agreements. As the communication ended, Jake turned to his crew. Well done, everyone. Now comes the hard part. Sir? Ryan asked. Now we have to prove that we can live up to our promises. Building a new galaxy is going to be much more difficult than conquering the old one. 3 weeks after the confrontation in the neutral zone, the galaxy was a different place. The massive alien fleets had dispersed, their ships limping back to homeworlds with damaged pride and uncertain futures. But it wasn't the virus that had damaged them most severely. It was the realization that everything they thought they knew about power, technology, and warfare had been wrong. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the conference room aboard Supreme Chancellor Korthmax's command ship, looking out at representatives from 12 different species. The room had been hastily modified to accommodate the various atmospheric and gravitational requirements of the different aliens. It was the first time in galactic history that such a diverse group had met as equals. The preliminary agreements are in place, Dr. Amy Clark reported, reviewing data on her pad. All 12 species have signed the new Galactic Charter. Humanity has been granted full membership in the Galactic Council with equal voting rights. Admiral Zexathara, his 4 eyes focused on the human delegation, spoke carefully. The terms are generous, considering our position, but I must ask, Captain Morrison, when will you remove the virus from our systems? Admiral, Jake replied, the virus will be gradually deactivated as each species implements the new security protocols. Dr. Clark and her team will work with your technical experts to ensure that your systems remain secure without external control. But the capability will remain? Commander Veltar asked. His crimson uniform had been modified with human-designed patches, a symbol of the new cooperation agreements. The capability will remain dormant, Amy confirmed. Think of it as a galactic insurance policy. As long as all species abide by the non-aggression principles we've established, the virus will never activate again. Lisa Park, who had been working with alien engineers for the past 3 weeks, looked up from her technical displays. We've already begun removing the virus from non-critical systems, traffic control, civilian communications, and commercial. Networks are operating under normal protocols again. What about military systems? Asked Zara Beth, an honor guard representative who had become one of the more cooperative alien leaders. Military systems will be the last to be fully restored, Ryan Burke explained. We'll implement a gradual release protocol as trust builds between our species. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax, who had aged visibly in the past few weeks, nodded slowly. Captain Morrison, I must admit that your approach has been educational. We expected conquest, but instead you offer partnership. Chancellor, conquest would have been temporary. Partners build something that lasts. The negotiations had been intense. Each species had different concerns, different fears about the new galactic order. The Hegemony Coalition worried about losing their military supremacy. The Kareth feared that their warrior culture would be suppressed. The Nexus Collective was concerned about sharing their technological advantages. But gradually, a framework had emerged. The new Galactic Charter established principles that no species had been willing to consider before. Technological sharing, mutual defense, and equality regardless of military strength. Dr. Clark, Korthmax continued, your teams have been working with our computer specialists for weeks. What is your assessment of our cybersecurity? Amy activated her datapad, showing network diagrams that spanned the galaxy. Chancellor, your species have built an impressive technological infrastructure, but it was designed for efficiency, not security. The same interconnectedness that makes the galactic network so powerful also makes it incredibly vulnerable. And your recommendations? We're implementing a distributed security model. Instead of relying on centralized firewalls, each system will have multiple layers of protection. More importantly, we're training your technical teams to think like attackers, not just defenders. Admiral Zexathera leaned forward. You're teaching us to think like humans. We're teaching you to think like survivors, Jake corrected. The universe is full of potential threats. The virus we used was just one example of how vulnerable interconnected systems can be. Lisa added, we're also helping each species develop backup systems that can function independently of the galactic network. If something like this happens again, your ships won't be helpless. Commander Veltar spoke up. You're giving us the tools to defend against your own methods? Commander, Ryan replied, we're giving you the tools to defend against anyone's methods. The goal isn't to maintain human advantage. The goal is to make the entire galaxy more secure. Amy activated another section of her datapad. We've also identified several potential external threats that could affect all of our species. There are indications of hostile civilizations beyond the galactic rim, automated defense systems left by extinct species, and natural phenomena that could disrupt the galactic network. You're saying we need to work together for survival? Zara Beth asked. We're saying that cooperation makes all of us stronger, Jake replied. Humanity could have used our technological advantage to dominate the galaxy. Instead, we're sharing that advantage to build something better. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax studied the humans around the conference table. Captain Morrison, I must ask a personal question. Why? Your species could have ruled the galaxy. Why settle for partnership? Jake was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. Chancellor, humans have a long history of conflict. We've fought wars over territory, resources, ideology. We've learned that domination is temporary, but cooperation can last for generations. Furthermore, Amy added, ruling through fear and control requires constant vigilance. Partnership allows everyone to focus on building rather than fighting. Lisa checked her engineering displays. We've already seen the benefits. In just 3 weeks, joint human-alien teams have made breakthroughs in faster-than-light communication, improved energy efficiency, and enhanced life support systems. The Kareth engineering teams have been particularly innovative, Ryan noted. Their understanding of energy weapon design, combined with human-computer protocols, has led to defensive systems that are more effective than anything either species could build alone. Commander Veltar actually smiled, an expression that few aliens had ever seen from a Kareth warrior. Working with humans has been enlightening. Your species approaches problems differently than we do. How so? Jake asked. You ask why before you ask how. We focus on building stronger weapons. You focus on understanding why weapons are needed in the first place. Admiral Zexathara added, your technical teams don't just solve problems. They question whether the problems need to exist at all. Amy stood and walked to the large view screen that showed the space around them. Where once 9,000 warships had gathered for battle, now there were construction vessels, research ships, and diplomatic transports from dozens of different species. Members of the Council, she said, we're seeing the beginning of something unprecedented in galactic history. Species that have been enemies for centuries are working together. Technologies that were jealously guarded are being shared openly. The results speak for themselves, Lisa added. Faster ships, better communication, more efficient resource utilization. Every species is benefiting. Supreme Chancellor Korthmax looked around the conference room. Captain Morrison, 3 weeks ago, I believed humanity was about to be destroyed. Today, I find myself wondering how we managed without human participation for so long. You managed very well, Chancellor, but imagine what we can accomplish together. Ryan activated his communication console. Captain, I'm receiving reports from across the galaxy. The new joint research stations are operational. The shared defense networks are online. Trade between human and alien worlds has increased by 300%. Any problems? Minor disputes over resource allocation, some disagreements about research priorities, but nothing that can't be resolved through the new arbitration protocols. Zarabeth leaned back in her specially designed chair. Captain Morrison, I must admit that when I first heard about the human ultimatum, I expected subjugation. Instead, we have gained partners who seem more interested in our welfare than our submission. Honor Guard Zarabeth, Jake replied. We learned long ago that forced cooperation is no cooperation at all. We want allies, not servants. Amy returned to her seat, datapad in hand. The virus removal is proceeding on schedule. Within 6 months, All alien systems will be operating under the new security protocols with full autonomous control. And the dormant code, Admiral Zexathera asked, will remain as a safeguard against future conflicts, but it will only activate if one species threatens the survival of another. Think of it as a galactic immune system. Commander Veltar nodded slowly. A system that protects all species by preventing any one species from dominating others. Exactly, Jake confirmed. Supreme. Chancellor Korthmax stood, signaling the end of the formal session. Captain Morrison, Dr. Clark, your teams have accomplished something remarkable. You have transformed a potential genocide into the foundation for a new era of galactic cooperation. As the aliens began filing out of the conference room, Jake remained at the view screen, watching ships from dozens of different species working together in space. 3 weeks ago, this had been a war zone. Today, it was the birthplace of a new galaxy. Captain, Amy said quietly, do you think this will last? 6 months had passed since the confrontation in the neutral zone, and the UES Liberty was finally heading home to Earth. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, no longer the small transport vessel that had challenged an entire galaxy, but now the flagship of a new era in interstellar relations. Captain, Ryan Burke reported from his communication station, we're receiving messages from across the galaxy. Congratulations on our successful mission, invitations to joint research projects, even some requests for human advisors on various worlds. Jake smiled as he read through the messages. The galaxy that had once threatened humanity with extinction was now eager to work with them. It was a transformation that still amazed him. Any word from Earth? He asked. Yes, sir. Admiral Kate Sullivan sends her congratulations and requests a full briefing upon our return. She also mentions that the President wants to meet with you personally. Dr. Amy Clark entered the bridge carrying her ever-present datapad, though. Now it contained very different information than it had 6 months ago. Instead of alien vulnerabilities and attack plans, it held cooperative research data and diplomatic agreements. Captain, she said, I've finished compiling the final reports. The virus removal is complete across all alien systems. Every species now has full autonomous control of their technology. Any problems with the new security protocols? None at all. In fact, several species have improved on our designs. The Nexus Collective has developed an enhancement that makes their systems even more secure than before. Lisa Park looked up from her engineering console. Captain, the joint human-alien teams have exceeded all expectations. The new faster-than-light communication system is operational, and we're seeing innovations in every field, from medicine to engineering. Jake walked to the main view screen, looking out at the stars that now seemed much friendlier than they had 6 months ago. Ryan, show me the galactic status display. The main screen shifted to show a map of the galaxy with colored indicators showing the status of various worlds and installations. Green lights indicated peaceful cooperation, blue showed ongoing joint projects, and yellow marked areas where negotiations were still in progress. There were no red lights indicating conflicts. Remarkable, Jake said. 6 months ago, this same galaxy was preparing for the largest war in its history. Amy joined him at the view screen. Captain, we're receiving reports that some species are applying our cooperation model to their internal politics. The Kareth have ended a territorial dispute that had lasted for over 2 centuries. And the Hegemony Coalition has opened trade with species they had been fighting for decades, Ryan added. Admiral Zexathara says that cooperation is more profitable than conquest. Lisa checked her engineering displays. We're also seeing technological advances that none of the species could have achieved alone. The joint shipyards are producing vessels that are faster, safer, and more efficient than anything built before. Jake turned back to his crew. What about the dormant virus code? Still in place, Amy confirmed, but it hasn't been needed. The non-aggression protocols established by the new Galactic Charter have been remarkably effective. Have there been any attempts to remove the code? Several species have studied it extensively, but not to remove it. They're trying to understand how it works so they can develop similar peaceful enforcement mechanisms for local disputes. Ryan's console beeped with an incoming transmission. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Supreme Chancellor Korthmax. Put it through. The familiar voice of the galactic leader filled the bridge. Captain Morrison, I hope your journey home is proceeding well. Very well, Chancellor. Thank you for asking. Captain, I'm calling to inform you that the Galactic Council has voted unanimously to establish a permanent human embassy on the capital world. We would be honored if you would consider serving as the first human ambassador to the galaxy. Jake looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They had accomplished something unprecedented in galactic history, and now they were being asked to help maintain what they had built. Chancellor, I'm honored by the offer, but I think Dr. Clark would be better suited for that position. She understands alien cultures better than anyone. Amy looked surprised. Captain, I'm a scientist, not a diplomat. Dr. Clark? Korthmax's voice carried warmth. Your expertise in interspecies relations would be invaluable. The Council would welcome your appointment enthusiastically. Amy considered for a moment. Chancellor, I accept on the condition that I can continue my research while serving in the diplomatic role. Of course. In fact, we're hoping you'll help establish joint research facilities throughout the galaxy. Lisa looked up from her console. Captain, we're receiving another transmission. This one is from Commander Veltar. Put him through as, well. The Kareth commander's voice joined the conversation. Captain Morrison, the Crimson Fleet wishes to propose a joint training exercise between human and Kareth forces. A training exercise? Yes, sir. Not for warfare, but for cooperative missions. Search and rescue, disaster relief, exploration of dangerous regions. We believe that human strategic thinking combined with Kareth military precision could be very effective. Jake smiled. 6 months ago, Veltar had been eager to destroy the Liberty. Now he wanted to work together. Commander, I think that's an excellent idea. Lisa, what do you think about joint operations? I think our engineering teams could learn a lot from each other, Captain. The Kareth build incredibly sturdy ships, and we might be able to help them with efficiency improvements. Amy activated her datapad. This fits perfectly with the long-term cooperation goals. Joint training leads to better understanding, which reduces the likelihood of future conflicts. Ryan added, Captain, we're also receiving requests for human participation in exploration missions to the Galactic Rim. Several species want to investigate those external threats Dr. Clark identified. External threats that could affect all of us, Jake noted. That's exactly the kind of challenge that requires cooperation, Supreme Chancellor Korthmax spoke again. Captain Morrison, before you reach Earth, I wanted to personally thank you for what you and your crew have accomplished. 6 months ago, we were preparing for war. Today, we're planning the largest cooperative exploration mission in galactic history. Chancellor, we couldn't have done it without leaders like you who were willing to consider new possibilities. Perhaps. But it took courage to send one ship against 9,000, and it took wisdom to offer partnership instead of domination. Commander Veltar added, Captain, The galaxy has learned an important lesson. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is the willingness to put it aside. As the transmissions ended, Jake looked around his bridge one more time. The Liberty had carried 50 humans to a confrontation with the most powerful military force in galactic history. They had returned with something far more valuable than military victory. They had returned with a galaxy full of allies. "Captain," Ryan reported, "Earth Control is requesting our estimated time of arrival." "Tell them we'll dock at Luna Station in 18 hours, Jake replied. "And Ryan, send a message to Admiral Sullivan. Tell her the mission was successful, but the work is just beginning." Amy was already preparing for her new role as Galactic's ambassador. "Captain, I'll need to return to the alien capital within a few weeks. There are dozens of joint projects that need coordination. And I'll be staying here to work with the engineering teams," Lisa added. "The new ship designs require human input," Ryan smiled. "Looks like we're all going to be busy." Jake walked to